Greetings and welcome to another edition of Meet the Author from YMAA Publication Center. And today I have the delight to talk to Dr. Herman Baer, author of two books, both being titled Analysis of Genuine Karate, Part 1 and 2. Part 1 is Misconceptions, Origins, Development, and True Purpose. Part 2, which just came out, Socio-Cultural Development, Commercialization, and Loss of Essential Knowledge. Sir, let me ask you to begin with, what is your martial arts background?
All right. Thanks for having me on. Like so many other colleagues of mine, I started karate initially as a way, looking for a way to better defend myself after a friend of mine was visually attacked and barely survived. So I found the karate, yeah, really. That was in the early 80s, 1980, 81, around that time. So I found dojo teaching the karate version available in my hometown over there in Germany at that time, which was Shutokan, not to be confused with Shotokan, based on Kanken Tomaya's understanding of the art. And I did that for quite some time, 12, 14 years, 15. And then life kicked in, career, family. In my career, I had to travel a lot, was on the road all week long, coming home on the weekend, disturbing my family. So I only could train myself, self-training, until I got retired, which was in 2016. And I restarted picking up my training full time. Actually, I switched my entire life priorities back to karate, but started here in Virginia Beach, my hometown now, with the style available here, which is Shorin Ryu. So, long story short, my martial art background is karate jitsu, meaning karate in its genuine form of a self-defense art, plus kobudo, the weapons part of karate, better call it the tools art instead of weapons. It's basically farmers and fisher tools used here, as you know. Mm-hmm. And Sui Kendo, which was a adaptation of Shorin Ryu style by Sensei Tadashi Yamashita, which he calls fists flowing like water. It's not just fists, but movements flowing like water, a very fluid approach to combat karate and supposedly most of the advanced fighting systems today in the entire art of karate.
You say you're just recently retired. And what did you retire from? What was your career?
Recently, well, you're very kind, 2016, 7 years ago, I retired from my academic career, which kind of took off here in the United States. My academic background is a doctorate and a master's of science in economics and sociology, and I hold additional degrees in psychology and business administration. So I used to teach, to research, and to academically run university campuses here at the East Coast for 12 years. Before that, I worked over there in Europe, in Germany, as the CEO of a coaching and consulting company, reporting to shareholders. And in 2005, well, before that, I worked for the manufacturing industry, did my military service and so on and so forth. It's not as important, I suppose. In 2005, I immigrated to the US to actually fulfill a dream of ours, don't want to say of mine, my wife and myself, to become a citizen of this great country.
That's
So
nice.
that's basically my professional career and my martial arts career.
Very good. So I noticed the first subtitle on your first book is Misconceptions.
Yes.
What do you think the main misconceptions of karate are?
Well, yeah, thanks for asking that. Let me step back a second because uh, because the same term is used for all variations in this art form, there is kind of a confusion. Other Japanese martial arts have different terms for example, for their traditional martial use, usually called jitsu, like Aijitsu or Kenjitsu, swordsmanship.
Mm-hmm.
And they have the term Aikido or Kendo for the sports applications of the art.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the case in karate. The same term is used for all variations. Now, there is an initial genuine form. Many hundreds years ago, it was the craft of guards, security forces. Later, it was turned into a self-defense art. That is the traditional karate jitsu. This karate variation was brought to mainland Japan from Okinawa, where it originated. Mainland Japan, it was converted to be offered to a broader audience. So it was kind of disarmed. The initial form was lethal, to put it simply. There's actually a publication of another karate style. The book is called Karate, the Art of Killing. Well, I don't completely agree, but it hits the point, kind of. But if you want to use it for sports reasons or for the broad public to practice it, you cannot teach lethal techniques to kids. So you should not. So it was kind of diffused. Techniques were converted. Offensive techniques were changed into defensive techniques. Hidden applications underneath that I call face value of moves. So the purpose of a move, which can be actually understood without any martial arts background, because it's kind of self-explaining, but that's only the surface. Underneath there are other applications. Most of those are throws, manipulations of hands, of wrists, limbs manipulation, stuff like that. That is taken out because it's too dangerous for competitive purposes and so on. So the entire, back to your initial question, the original version of Karate Jitsu on Okinawa, brought to Japan, turned into a way of character building and self-perfection called Karate Do, no longer Jitsu. Jitsu means martial application. Do means path or way. So it became a way to build character, to build up values, to become a better person, basically. Kind of separated from the martial application. More closer to recreational purposes, and later turned into sports, so for competitive purposes. So you see, we have three versions: Karate Jitsu, Karate Do, and Sports Karate, all called Karate in the public, but their purpose is completely different from self-defense to self-development to sports application. So I suggest actually that we take different terms for the different versions of that art. I mentioned it already: karate jitsu, karate do, sports karate. That is the core of the misconception, which could be kind of evaded if we actually would use these different terms for the different applications. But it's only done by insiders, not in the broad public. The broad public thinks of karate, and usually you see or you visualize a strong Japanese guy jumping through the air and kicking somebody in the head. It's not a Japanese martial art, it's an Okinawan martial art. Yeah, you may say Okinawa is part of Japan. Of course it is, right? In terms of political sphere, Okinawa is as part of Japan as Hawaii is a part of the US. And it is as different culturally speaking of Japan as Hawaii is different from USA.
From the mainland
US. So Okinawan version, karate jitsu, Japanese version, kind of a philosophical approach to become a better person, karate do. Sports application, close to American way of thinking, winner attitude, right? Competitive, being the best. And if you compete with one another, you cannot use these initial lethal techniques, of course. So these are forbidden in that variation of karate. The entire purpose of the initial form, which is actually not fighting, the purpose of the initial form is self-control. If the situation requests it, of course, you will deal with it and you'll do what you have to do to stop an attack from happening and from repeating. The bottom line is self-control, and self-control includes to avoid such a situation as well.
No, now you reject the idea of sport karate as a martial art, yes?
I wouldn't call sports karate a martial art. Yes, I agree, Gene. But let me add, at least as a footnote, that I have nothing but admiration for the athletes performing sports karate today. They have outstanding body control. They are precise in their moves and so on and so forth. But this changed and altered version of an initial martial art is as close to combat as javelin or fencing today is as close or better away from their martial ancestors, right? Nobody would call javelin throwing a martial art today. Nobody would call fencing a martial art. It has martial traditions, but moving straight back and forth and only being allowed to hit certain areas of the body. If we look at foil fencing, that has nothing to do with what the musketeers in France or Italy did some couple of hundred years ago.
Well, fencing schooling more than battlefield. So it was a bit surreal to begin with, you know. It's
right.
It's
yeah. So there is no need to create a philosophical superstructure for javelin, and nobody does that. And there is no need to build a philosophical superstructure for sports karate, like there is no need to build a superstructure for MMA. Nobody does it for that application of fighting arts, but it is done for karate, and there are others efforts to keep this traditional flair, which actually could well be a point of selling.
Sure.
It's kind of a branding art, which makes it more attractive in Western and Eastern markets.
Why do you think karate jitsu is relatively unpopular in contrast to MMA, which experienced this great boom over the last decade.
Yeah. Especially the traditional form of karate, the initial combat self-defense form of karate is relative in its Okinawan way. It's relatively unpopular. I agree. It's a long way. You cannot master, or at least become familiar with a fighting art form that takes years to accomplish the minimum qualification levels, especially here in the West, in America and other Western countries. It's a different mindset. It's not the mindset of arduously pursue a never-ending path of improvement. It is more the mindset of quick wins. Yeah, I want to get something. I want to succeed right away. I want to get as much as possible as soon as possible. Mm-hmm. This winner mindset is closer to MMA practices. Here again, as a footnote, I truly admire these athletes. And in my humble opinion, MMA better represents fighting as what it's done in sports karate, for example, at the Olympics, right? Mm. When not always the better fighter wins, the fighter making the better impression wins. And you saw somebody knocked out an opponent and actually was disqualified, which would be laughable in martial arts or in boxing or in other. So the mindset you need for mixed martial arts is to attack as often and as effectively as possible. The mindset you need in karate jitsu is to avoid a fight, to control a situation, to avoid a fight, and only fight if necessary. And then the fight is really done in a couple of seconds. There is no back and forth dancing in an athletic exchange of attacks. These two mindsets are uncomparable. The mindset of karate would be actually a loser mindset in MMA. And the mindset of karate doesn't allow competition. It only allows, if attacked, take out the attacker, to put it simple, right? And the mindset in martial arts is different. It has to be a winner mindset. And in terms of sport competition, two different personalities.
For sure. Yeah. So how did you notice a difference between classical Okinawan karate jitsu and non-Okinawan karate do? How do you distinguish that exactly? Let's dial into
that. We touched a little bit on it. So let me summarize again. The traditional Okinawan karate jitsu is, as the term says, jitsu means combat, art, fighting, martial art. It's since 1900 something, since the May Revolution and period, it was used and taught as an art of self-defense. The Karate Do, the non-Okinawan karate versions, are taught as a way to get better mentally, spiritually, character-wise. They are linked to self-defense still, but let me give you an example before I theorize. I started with one of these Karate Do versions. I told you Shutokan, not Shotokan, but Shudokan. And according to the traditional philosophy in that school, we didn't do sparring. Yeah, we did partner exercises, and we developed a sense of distance and timing and so on, but we didn't actually hit each other. So, but I remember I told you I joined karate in order to be able to better defend myself.
Sure.
Then I visited a traditional Okinawan dojo here in the US, and I made a painful experience in the verbatim, literally, when getting into the ring or did kumite, meaning partner sparring with one of or with the guys familiar to Okinawan karate, and I had no chance. I was not able to efficiently counter all the tuite, limb and joint manipulations to avoid throws. I was able, of course, to block and to fend off the most uncomplicated attacks like punching and so on. But everything beyond that, I was not equipped to deal with that. I was not equipped to defense and immediately counter, for example. I was not equipped to continuously look into, not into the eyes, but around here of my opponent, where the clothes show or telegraph an upcoming move. So that was the point that I realized this way of learning karate does not prepare me for the purpose I wanted. Nothing against the purpose other people are looking for. May they do. I wanted to learn self-defense art. And the difference is I didn't learn that in this Japanized, I might call it, like others do, version of karate. So I restarted at scratch. I added Okinawan karate to my previous karate experience. So I kind of completed it, because I see both ways actually as the two parts of one unit, right? You have the fighting craft. I'm doing the yin-yang symbol here with my hands. You have the fighting, the craft of the martial craft, I may call it, and you have the do, the spiritual and mental development of the personality. Both together is the whole of karate. When I started to train, I only learned one half of it. I added the other half, so to speak, the fighting part, and now it's whole, in my opinion. It's not up to me to say what my qualification is. That's up to others. Could tell you that.
That must have been a wake-up call.
I didn't get that. Sorry.
That must have been quite a wake-up call.
Yeah, especially when you think you know something, right? Well, I never was a kind of bragging or something like that. I just had the confidence that I was able to defend myself, because unfortunately before that, I encountered a couple of situations where I needed that art to fend off something, and I was successful in doing that, but I was not successful when I encountered these fellow karateka who are used to Okinawan karate. So they needed to teach me, reteach me, and they taught me well. So it's quite some difference. The sheer force using full body power, hara, with a very small hip, very hidden movement of the hip, not this exaggerated moves you see sometimes in sports karate, more jumping with the hip instead of turning. That created quite some power, which I had to deal with in these situations. So it was a wake-up call, yes, the wake-up call of my life, because I switched, as I told you, I switched my life priorities. I do karate full time now. I'm 75 in the meantime, but going strong. Actually, in half an hour, after the interview, I'm leaving. I have to train. I'm teaching as well in the meantime, you may imagine, of course. Yes, sir.
Much respect to you, keeping it going at your age. That's fantastic. That's what really inspires me. So where can people find you on social media, on the internet?
Yes, I mean, under my name, you can find me on LinkedIn, of course. In the professional sense, you can find me on Facebook. I have a hermanbayer.edu page on academia, and I have an author page on Amazon, just to be complete, but I prefer actually a direct contact, if not face to face, but by email. Herman Bayer USA, one word, at gmail.com, for example. There are a lot of possible misunderstandings. You put something out there. I put something out there on Facebook, for example, and you get a range of responses. There are constructive, and then there are not so much. So
Sure.
being in direct contact, I prefer that. Sure. And I have many colleagues and fellow karateka who prefer that too. So, and we communicate quite a bit. Actually, and currently I'm working on the third book about a developmental principle in karate that was introduced basically after World War II, called Shuhari, and discussing that is quite productive and quite fun, discussing that one-on-one with 24 or more colleagues, co-karateka.
Very good, very good. Well, our readers can certainly find you on ymaa.com. Both books are available now. Analysis of Genuine Karate, Part 1 and 2. And we'll look forward to that Part 3 someday in the future. It's a pleasure talking.
Give it a couple of minutes. Please. Thank you, Gene. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for your time.